Welcome back to theCUBE. We are coming to you live from Chicago, where we are at Boomi World 2026, and we are talking all things the future of connected enterprise. Joining me now are three folks central to that conversation. Eddy Montalvo, VP of North American Alliances and Channels at Boomi. Reetwick Ghosh, Senior Director of Digital Transformation Strategy and Sales at Infosys. And Narayanan C, Senior Director of iPaaS, AI and API Economy at Infosys. Welcome, folks.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Let me start by saying these titles don't make this job easy, right?
Yeah.
Are the titles as complicated as the job you guys do? Maybe let's start there. We would like to start with you. Talk to me a little bit about what's happening in your space right now. How complex, how opportunistic? Fill me in.
It's complex, but the solution is easy, right? The problem seems complex, the solution is easy. What we are seeing is a lot of modernization initiatives, right? And add to it the AI layer, right? Customers talk AI. But the key thing is, there are three towers that customers are focusing now. One is the entire data, which includes data engineering as well as master data management, integration, and the third pillar is the AI and automation, right? So these are the three pillars on which customers are today focusing on and driving their entire enterprise digital modernization. Right? And these are the core pillars also that will drive your AI. So you need to have these pillars ready to embark on your AI journey.
And Narayan, let's maybe talk about what modernization means in 2026, right? Like, what does that boil down to? Like, what does a modern enterprise truly look like?
Yeah, so it might sound like a cliche, but AI-led modernization is the story. But if I take a step back, people have been talking about modernization for years together. It used to be mainframe modernization, then integration modernization, then you had middleware. We used to call it enterprise application integration, service-oriented architecture, API economy. Now it's all AI-led modernization, and that's the story. Now, and to peel some layers, every enterprise will be in a different state, and that's where we see the complexity what he was talking about. But at the same time, AI makes it a little easier to do the modernization. And what does it mean by ideal AI-led modernization? It's all layers, you have an AI-based solution. So whether it is the records, the data layer, whether it is the cloud infrastructure layer, the management aspect of it, or whether it is the consumer interface or the user interface or the channels that customers use apps or any means to interact with, even there AI can play a role. And in between that, where Boomi comes into the picture, so you have an ideal state of AI-led modernization.
So a complex problem, but a simple solution. You gave me a lot of acronyms and buzzwords of industry there. Eddy, Infosys is clearly a company and a partner that ride those buzzwords, that deliver on those promises. They have been named Boomi Partner of the Year. Talk to me a little bit about this partnership and what's unique about the relationship with these wonderful chaps.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, first off, I'm super thankful to have them in our partnership. They've been on this journey with us really from the start since I joined the organization, and they've been really helping us get to these outcomes that they're talking about with the customers. I think one of the best things that I think we have in the partnership is, you could see everything they talked about is, it sounds complex, it sounds complicated, but they make it pretty easy for customers to actually start that journey, right? And I think it's with that domain expertise that they really bring to the table, and it really helps customers understand how to go from this complex thesis that they have, but go on that AI-led transformation that they want to go on, but it's not easy to start, and they really have the foundational elements to go do that.
Well, let's talk about what starting looks like, okay? We know a very complex enterprise setup. We have companies that are at all different maturity levels, have had all sorts of legacy issues, didn't necessarily avail of waves of the past, or did, like cloud, like other technologies that seemed extremely opportunistic, but were met with very tactical challenges, right?
Yeah.
What's different now? Like when you go out to some of these partners that have been facing these hurdles for the last 10, 15 years, what can you say to them that's fundamentally shifted the opportunity for the next 12 months to 3 years out?
See, one key thing that is pushing them towards the AI model is, one is the cost pressure, right? Be it for the macro conditions that are there, there's a huge cost pressure. Second is the technology obsolescence that most of the organizations have, right? For the last 15 years, they have been using a particular pattern for integration. They have been using a particular tool for integration, but they are obsolete. The innovation in those tools are not there. Nobody is innovating like what Boomi is doing today, right? Third is they need an enterprise scale cloud, I would say, an iPaaS kind of a platform, right? So this is where the journey is gradually shaping up, right? You have a cloud strategy, which underneath it has an integration and an AI strategy, right? So if you look at all these holistically, that is what is driving the modernization narrative in each and every organization, which was not there pre-COVID. It was not there. But post-COVID, with the advent of AI, things are changing. The perspective of how you want to embark on them is changing, right? So this is what has changed in my mind, and this is where organizations are going to focus. The next 3 years would be very crucial for an organization to prove out the first set of AI use cases and attach the ROI to those use cases. That's very important for the success of the next phase, right? So that's how I see it.
If we take an example, like let's take financial services and banking, right? We know that there was a time when Jamie Dimon said the world would never be 100% cloud and JP Morgan would never be 100% cloud, and I think he probably had a little bit of egg in his face in that space eventually over time, right? But that was a long time coming.
Yes.
We know that there was mainframe deployed across all of these banks. There's COBOL.
Yes.
They're running certain line of business applications on COBOL technology still today at this very moment. How is that shifting? Like, how is this modern moment, this modernization, term really meeting like those types of challenges where we know that folks have been somewhat hamstrung by the reality of the enterprise layers, right? Maybe I'll give this to you, that easy question to you.
Yeah, sure. And I was just thinking about when you were talking about this, and we sometimes call it the hollowing of the core.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means because it's the core systems of many of these enterprises and how you can take the value out of these systems. Because sometimes if it is an old system, then how do you get the data out? Because data is important for AI and then for other analytics, user interfaces, experience, etc., customer success. And then the second part is that you have to make it real time. So many of these systems are batch, you have to make it real time. So all of these gives you opportunities and also the business case that he was talking about. How do I get the ROI and how do I even reduce the TCO? So these different aspects makes a case for going modern, apply the AI relevant technologies. And I think Boomi did a very good strategic pivot that there are 3 aspects to it. One can be the enterprise predictive deterministic one. Second can be the ML based where you can determine at the last second. And the third is the probabilistic where you use the Gen AI solution. Using these 3, you can hollow out the core, make the solutions much more beautiful for the enterprise and for their customers. That's what I think makes sense in today's world.
Let's talk about the data for a second, because we know Boomi is very much moving to be a data activation company, if you're not there already, right, Eddy? What would you say, are you there?
I would say I think we're paving the foundational kind of message around it. I think now, you see the acquisitions we made this week, and I think we're really bolstering the toolbox to go do these things that the team's talking about here.
Well, let's talk about that toolbox from the perspective of data and turning data into a particular shape and motion that's required for this wave of AI, right? Especially the inference layer. It feels like we were, in the RAG layer for a brief second, and now we're already talking about this next phase, right? But when we look at what we've heard this week, and across these last 2 days, some great demos earlier and some great folks on the floor here doing some wonderful work, what really do you think are truly changing the game in terms of meeting the modernization opportunity?
Yeah, I'll go back to, with partnerships like Infosys, I mean, when you talk to these clients, going back to your banking example of how do we do mainframe modernization, they're still running on that today. You got to have partnerships that can help take them on that journey, right? And I think when you look at partners like Infosys and how we work with companies like Solace, talking about the real-time open legacy to help actually get off of those legacy platforms, I think we're giving, and then the innovation, going back to the comment they made, Boomi, you guys have been coming for years now to this event. Every year we've added more and more to what we're going to do in the market, how we can support our customers, and I think that innovation isn't going to stop because I think the speed and the pace of the market right now, if we're not innovating, we're missing the opportunity to go do this and drive this dream, this AI kind of reality that we're living in, right? So I think we're definitely getting there, but the opportunities in the market are so exciting, very exciting, and I think just look at with the announcements around Boomi Orchestrate, Boomi Companion, Boomi Connect. There's so many things that we're enabling these opportunities to really go drive this transformation with our customers.
Let's talk for a second about realizing the return on some of these technologies, right? And the customer expectation element of this time we are in. We all grew up in the world of tech where there was 6, 8, 9 months, whatever it might be, to roll something out, right? There was a discovery phase. There was a phase where consultants could drink coffee and make good PowerPoints, and we all had a great time talking about what it could be, right? That has kind of ended because the market expectation is so high now, and there's this speed, we can't get left behind. How are you guys thinking about that from the perspective of how you approach customers, how you think about deployment cycles, integration cycles, what's really shifting?
You want to take it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, I think there are good examples. So let's say customer wants to, without taking any particular ERP name, so let's say they want to upgrade the ERP.
You can give a name.
Give a name. Let's say,
give your least favorite.
Let's say if it is an SAP, Oracle, even Salesforce, right? So some of these are also upgrading. They are also coming with their very specific solutions. So when enterprises want to deploy those or integrate that, you need some quick things. So the question around 6 to 8 month cycle. Now it is reduced to almost a week or even less than that. That's possible. So with the automation, with even AI and with non-Gen AI based automation, it's quite possible now. So that's what we are seeing when we are also implementing. As Infosys, we even started something called stateless, serverless, versionless coding, which means that you should always be current at any point of time. And Boomi anyway practices that. So any customer will always be on the same version and there is no patching or anything required, right? So the application that can be developed can always be at the current level. It's modern, it's fast, and it works, it's functional. And it is error code, it's errorless, and it's stable, performant, etc. So all the qualities, all the KPIs met, and obviously it becomes a little bit more modern for the cloud as well as for the AI side of things.
And Reetwick, where are these new pressures coming from, right? We're also used to a world where you worked with change management teams, you worked with tech teams, you worked with a very siloed version of the business on any sort of big rollout or big change, right? We know and we hear all the time that everyone's a vibe coder, everyone's an innovator, we're all wizards, right, in this world of AI. But I'm sure in your business, in your line of work, it also creates increased pressures because it's almost like WebMD, right? People can diagnose their own problems. What are you seeing in the field? What's happening from the perspective of who is buying, who is driving the decisions? Is that shifting week to week?
That is shifting. See, what's happening in organizations are, 2 years back, AI was just an experiment. It was just a hypothesis, I'll put it that way, right? Today, most of the organization have a chief AI officer, right? He manages the AI roadmap for the organization. So there's a seriousness about AI, about adoption of AI, about making AI successful in the first go. I'll put it that way, because that's where the seriousness comes in. At the end, you have to make a hefty investment in getting AI, right? As he was saying, the way we are approaching AI is we are looking at an enterprise holistically, and be it using Vibe or anything else, we are kind of giving a mandate to the organization that you should have your first AI use case done in a month's time establish the metrics which will help you measure your ROI, right? And we have done it successfully, right? We have an SDLC.ai, we have a process.ai, we have an orchestrate.ai. That's the entire Infosys Topaz framework that we have taken to the market. And following that particular model, within a 3 months period, you will have at least one productionized AI agent working for you, which gives you at least cost savings of 20 to 40%, right? Wow. Industry to industry, it will vary, but this is what we are seeing, right? And that establishes your foundation to scale on AI, right? So the mandate comes from the chief AI officer, the mandate comes from the CIO, right? Wherever a chief AI officer is not there. But the key thing is it's no more in that experimentation phase. It is now a serious thing in organizations, backed by funding. Earlier, for an experimentation, you may not get funding, but today, there is funding. And you can see that by the adoption of Boomi AI across the organizations, right? That's serious funding behind the AI model to scale for it to be a success, right? So there is a seriousness. And I think it's now getting driven. Earlier, it was an IT thing, but now I see more and more decisions and interest coming from the business side of the organization. Wow. So that has changed. In the last 2 to 3 years, that has changed.
Well, times are changing, that's for sure. Last question, I'm going to go to you, Eddy. So we heard in the stage, I thought it was very interesting today, and one of your other partners, Richie, mentioned, I go through San Francisco Airport all the time, I see all these logos. People promise a lot of stuff. Again, I wish he had named some of those logos, right? That would have been better entertainment, but maybe next year. People promise a lot of stuff, they deliver little, right? I know, based on this partnership and based on everything that you guys have committed to today, together, Boomi and Infosys have a lot they're promising the market. Yep. What are you hoping? What's the big bet for this relationship for the year out?
Yeah, I'll go back to a little bit, the things and the change that's happening and how we're supporting our customers, and it's based on outcomes, right? We're going to our customers and we want to take them on this transformative journey, but we have to know what's the business outcome that we want to get to, right? And I think that's really what we're able to do with our partnership. Infosys goes to their clients together with Boomi, and we go tell our customers how they can actually start this journey and be ready for the agentic enterprise. I think that's something that we really lean into strongly with Infosys, and they have that backbone of foundational domain expertise that really helps enable that beginning of that cycle that everyone's trying to go on right now.
I love it. Well, folks, thanks so much for joining me on theCUBE.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I'm Gemma Allen here at Boomi World 2026 with theCUBE. We are covering all things the future of connected enterprise. We've got some great guests coming up as we close out the day. Stay tuned.